Tesla's third at $635 billion, and it does feel like some big portfolio manager right now, right here, has decided to make a stand, not letting it go any lower. I know that sounds strange, but that almost conspiratorial, right? But that is how Tesla trades. There could be a Cathie Wood imitator out there buying Tesla, not letting it come down, not caring if they get it cheaper, tour de force, arrogant buyer. Who's ever buying it can't take it back to $1 trillion, though. They just can't. That's a Humpty Dumpty there. Just too many points between here and there. But when Tesla unleashes its new models nationwide, thing could jump a couple, maybe 10 billions.
Jim Cramer just ruined Tesla's opportunity to be worth $1 trillion again. At the time of this video, Tesla's stock price is hovering at around $200. And with these recent comments from Jim Cramer, the current buzz about Tesla stock and its valuation is about to become even louder. So buckle up and let's dive into this uncommon opinion from financial guru Jim Cramer.
I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people make friends. I'm just trying to make you a little money. My job, not just to entertain, but to educate you. So call me 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. Listen up. There is no next Nvidia. I made that very clear this week at our CNBC Investing Club annual meeting. It became actually a running joke because everybody wants the next Nvidia. Now that the original Nvidia has made this stunning multi-year move. People say Nvidia's made it. Jim, I want something new that'll rally the same way. Now, on days like today, where the Dow dipped 62 points, S&P declined 0.38%, NASDAQ edged down 0.13%, we realize how hard it is to find another company that can produce such unbelievable revenue growth. I'd argue Nvidia is the greatest demand story ever told. Artificial intelligence can be the game changer for everything that is digital. Everything. We know that potentially represents trillions of dollars, not in demand, not billion, not but trillions. T. No other company has a total addressable market that size to itself. And while there are still some companies with larger market capitalizations, namely Microsoft and Apple, I could see Nvidia suppressing even them in the not-too-distant future. That's not crazy, people. Of course, the whole thing does seem totally insane. Why? Here's why. Okay, let me say it. Remember I called it the nouveau riche stock? It was only worth $95 billion 5 years ago. Now it's worth almost $2 trillion. In fact, the stock's up 1,875% since we first visited CEO Jensen Huang at his headquarters. But when you create something great enough, you can justify that kind of move. Apple makes the best phones in the world, doesn't it? It's now worth $2.8 trillion, but that's easy to swallow because it was worth $822 billion 5 years ago. Microsoft has a virtual monopoly on an important slice of enterprise and consumer software, which is why it's worth $3 trillion now, but it was worth $862 billion 5 years ago. So it did give you a terrific move, but not anything like what happened here with Nvidia. Let me put it like this. Who could potentially join the trillion-dollar class along with Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, the much-trashed Alphabet, and the much-now-beloved Meta? If we accept that Nvidia is a freak of nature, then we want to look underneath the $1 trillion for candidates, right? I mean, maybe there's something in there brewing in the 700, 600 billion thing. Well, sure enough, number one is Berkshire Hathaway, run by Warren Buffett, who just said, though, that the days of the eye-popping returns are over. It has an $885 billion market cap. Berkshire has more than $160 billion in cash, so there's a lot it could buy. Buffett's way too disciplined just to start buying things up here. Buffett outlines how much he loves two core positions, American Express and Coca-Cola. Amex has been terrific of late. Coca-Cola's been okay, but buys back a ton of stock and continues to raise his dividend, which is what Buffett wants. Makes him a larger shareholder of the institution. Still, they aren't going to get him to jump over the trillion-dollar wall. Maybe he can engineer turning the fortunes of Burlington Northern, the largest railroad in America, Berkshire portfolio company. But the numbers here were quite disappointing versus the others in the sector. If anything can get this one over the trillion-dollar mark, you know what it's going to be? It'll have to be the continual and shocking rise in the cost of your auto insurance. That's right. In the end of the day, it was all about Geico. It is strange that Geico is the most important swing vote here, even as Berkshire owns a huge position in Apple that was responsible for a lot of the gains. But then again, Geico is the most valued because it offers a great service for less money. Who will be next up? Well, come on, Eli Lilly, right? I mean, it's $733 billion. It's got a serious chance of passing $1 trillion as the GLP-1 weight loss drugs become more widely accepted. What will that take? The insurance companies need to recognize that these drugs are being used responsibly to combat diabetes and obesity. A lot of comorbidities there, but also soon hypertension, COPD, fatty liver disease, perhaps so many other conditions we don't even know. Now, there is, though, a real disconnect between what these drugs do and what people think they do. They make your willpower dramatically stronger by making lots of foods less tasty. They make it harder to eat. They don't make it harder to eat. That's not what they do. They just take away the incentive to binge on junk food and alcohol. Now, Lilly has an Alzheimer's treatment that's probably about to be approved, I'd say even almost any day now by the FDA. I think the stock sells off, though, in the news because it's so widely anticipated. Look, I just told you, right? I mean, like, if I come in, if it's approved, and I come and say, I can't believe it's approved, you'll remember that on Monday I said it's going to be approved, right? I told investor members this weekend that it's probably going to sell off on the news. I believe when the worldwide data for the GLP-1s comes in, though, Lilly will be propelled to the $1 trillion level, the first drug company to do so, hence why we own it for the Travel Trust. Tesla's third at $635 billion, and it does feel like some big portfolio manager right now, right here, has decided to make a stand, not letting it go any lower. I know that sounds strange, but that almost conspiratorial, right? But that is how Tesla trades. There could be a Cathie Wood imitator out there buying Tesla, not letting it come down, not caring if they get it cheaper, tour de force, arrogant buyer. Who's ever buying it can't take it back to $1 trillion, though. They just can't. That's a Humpty Dumpty there. Just too many points between here and there. But when Tesla unleashes its new models nationwide, I think could jump a couple, maybe 10 billions.
Now, we know this may sound bullish, but if you're familiar with Jim Cramer, then you're going to know that oftentimes what he says is usually the opposite of what things really are. Only 5 companies, namely Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Nvidia, have recently posted outsized gains in market cap at these companies, because they're a part of the elusive club of firms touching the $1 trillion in market valuation. Tesla was once a part of this club, but as of January last year, had lost over half of this value. This came amidst an economic downturn and increasing competition in the electric vehicle sector, with analysts questioning whether or not Tesla could become a $1 trillion stock again in the future. Several analysts have also predicted that Tesla could one day be worth $1 trillion again, and many investors are actually looking forward to it. So what does Jim Cramer's latest prediction really mean for Tesla? Is it time to accept Jim Cramer's forecast as true, or should investors take this as another say one mean the other prediction? Let's find out.
What's with the Tesla stock here? I mean, everything else seems to be ramping up. People are buying Bitcoin again for $60K.
Yeah.
How come Tesla's still kind of mired in this technical downtrend?
Well, because they're not making more money, you know? I mean, stocks are pretty simple. If the earnings are going up, the stock goes up, and if earnings are going down, the stock goes down. And Tesla's earnings are going down. I mean, they're not going up. So, you know, you're talking at 45 times earnings, you're more expensive than Nvidia, Microsoft, you're more expensive than Lululemon. The rest of my GK portfolio in my fund is cheaper than Tesla. So despite the declines, Tesla's still an expensive stock. So I don't see what the issue is. It's trading at 45 times earnings. That's a nice multiple, and it's a better multiple than Nvidia's forward earnings. So the real issue is, should it even deserve this multiple? And that, I think, the market will work itself out. But until Tesla grows earnings, the stock isn't going anywhere.
Okay. So if Rivian's having trouble with production, having trouble with financials, does the Cybertruck, which I saw for the first time last week in Naples, Florida, pretty cool, gotta say. Like I've always said, I'm not a hater. I like the black matte better than the silver. Yeah. But, you know, when you see it in person, it's not nearly as like obtrusive and absurd looking, I think, as people think on the road. I mean, it stands out, but it doesn't look dumb. I mean, is that going to
I think it's sweet.
Yeah. Does it become a bigger role for them?
What?
Does it become a bigger role in the Tesla story if Rivian's sneaking up the joint?
Well, I still see it as a novelty vehicle, and it's $100,000. So how many people does this really appeal to who want to spend $100,000 for a vehicle that, you know, is kind of just fun? And I think there's a market for that. I do, but I don't think that market's bigger than 50 to 100,000 cars a year. So if they're going to get to 250,000 Cybertrucks a year, they need to bring the price down, and that's going to be the main issue that they face in manufacturing is, can they get this price down and still be profitable? But the Cybertruck is a great vehicle, but they still need to sell Model Ys and Model 3s to make money, and that's what drives Tesla ultimately. And, you know, I think they're still struggling to do this, and the question is whether Model Y has a halo effect and convinces people, I mean, whether Cybertruck convinces people to buy Model Ys, and I'm not sure that's what's happening.
I see. Okay. All right. How about this Roadster claim, 0 to 60 in a second? I didn't even know that was possible if you're not like a Formula One racer. Is that even street legal? Can you make a car like that and hand it to average Joe?
It's funny you brought that up. Actually, what will happen is the car would lift off the ground and get airborne from the air. So that's actually not a realistic number. You know, where we're at now at 2 seconds on the Plaid almost makes me dizzy. So like when you go that fast, it's really hard for your body to keep up with the speed. You know, like the Plaid is faster than what your body can take, you know? And so the idea that you would be even twice as fast, you'd get it down to a second, I don't think the human body can take that. And then secondly, I think it'd be very easy for the car to get airborne. And that's why Formula One has all those, you know, things they use to keep the car, you know, pushing down onto the ground. So I think that's a nice idea. I think Elon has a little ego thing going on because the Yang Wang came out from BYD, and this is a supercar made by the Chinese, and he wants to show that he can make a better supercar.
Over the years, Tesla analysts and bulls have cited numerous growth opportunities for Tesla, even as far out as 2030. The automaker's been performing really well, beating down the competition and consistently increasing its revenue and profit margin. If you are a Tesla investor, then you should know that there is little that can hold the EV maker back from achieving these goals. So if you're yet to load up on more Tesla shares, now may be the time to do so, as Tesla promises to be a huge company for the future for investors. Hey guys, welcome back to Tesla Tomorrow. Tesla's valuation may not be up to $1 trillion yet. The automaker's growth days are definitely far from over though, and analysts estimate that EPS will grow by an average of 28% annually over the next several years. Tesla's growth is largely facilitated by strong fundamentals. The demand for its cars will probably grow significantly in the coming years as EV adoption becomes the new norm in the auto industry. Revenue is also expected to grow significantly from superchargers, FSD, and robotaxi. And Tesla's revenue will also be aided by the launch of its new Semi and upcoming Cybertruck, so this might be conservative. Although there's no guarantee that Tesla will be worth $1 trillion, there is a laid down path for that to be achieved. Before we carry on though guys, if you're liking this type of content, hit that like button, subscribe and turn on post notifications to keep up to date on everything going on with Tesla. Jim Cramer recently threw his hat into the ring, claiming that Tesla could reach a mind-bending $1 trillion again. Now, that's a hefty statement, but it's got everyone talking. The thing is, Tesla's already been there before, but then, like a roller coaster taking a big sharp dive, the stock price plummeted, leaving many investors with sweaty palms and a touch of whiplash. And now Jim Cramer says that investors could once again experience that groundbreaking surge. But could this prediction be true, or should investors take it with a grain of salt?
Here's the bottom line. There is no next Nvidia. It's what we call at law school sui generis. And you might not see another story this strong for a generation. But there are other companies that I just outlined that can break through the $1 trillion barrier. And while they're not as exciting as Nvidia, a few of them come pretty darn close, especially Eli Lilly. Gary in West Virginia. Gary.
Booyah, Jim.
Booyah,
Long
Gary.
time, first time.
Like
Thanks
that.
for helping us little guys. I hold
Roll little, man.
AMD. Should I add something here? Your thoughts?
I like AMD very, very much. You know, we own Nvidia for the Child Trust and Broadcom. We sit there and think, how many of these can we really own? I think at AMD, you could buy some here, and if it gets to 150, you buy some more. That's my take. I need to go to Jag in New Jersey. Jag.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jag. How about you?
Good, good. Thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
We really appreciate all you educate and help the community with your wisdom of investing.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
We love you.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. That feels good. I love you right back. I loved all the people at the conference. It was great.
Yeah. My question is about NYTV. So some of your advice for considering buying a stock to invest in this some of your advice for considering buying a stock to invest in is when there is heavy insider buying.
Correct.
What is that a lot with NYCB? Given the back,
financials don't count because a lot of these guys don't even seem to know their own banks. So I'm going to take a pass on that one. They just buy it because they think it's going to work. What do they know? I mean, they obviously don't know, or they never would have gotten in trouble to begin with. Let's go to George. That's what my mom would have said. She knew. Let's go to George in Pennsylvania. George.
Jim Cramer, George from Valley Forge, PA.
Holy cow! Let's go to King of Prussia Mall for the show. I'm buying. Okay.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
March Madness is coming up. Is DraftKings DKNG, a buy, sell, or hold.
All right, we got to let DraftKings come down. So after they announced whatever they did with the NFL, the final handle, now they're not going to report till May, and then we can look again. I feel like the stock is up on such a big spike. I want to be a little more cautious. Now we're going to go to Steve, also in Pennsylvania. Steve.
Hi, Jim, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks
Fantastic.
for taking my call.
I'm glad you called.
I'd like to know about Boeing in the next 12 to 24 months, what your feelings are on that.
I think they at Boeing would like to know about Boeing in the next 12 to 24 months, and that's part of the problem. This company is uniquely not in charge of its own destination, and I'm beginning to get concerned, as I said the other day. If the FAA just comes out and says, okay, look, let's just clean house, then I think you'd see the stock up substantially. All right, we might not see a move as strong as Nvidia's for a generation. And even if the next crop of companies that could break through the $1 trillion banner isn't as exciting as, say, Nvidia, there are a few that are close, especially LLY, Eli Lilly. Man Money tonight, the COVID era was big boom time for the pets theme. But now that's starting to fade. What should we do with a company like Elanco? I'm talking the company stock brass.
The possibility of Tesla reaching $1 trillion in valuation actually depends on a number of factors, including FSD, robotaxis, energy, and even new EV models like Cybertruck and the Semi. In 2017, Tesla announced its expected base price for its truck with a range of 300 miles would be around $150,000, and 500 miles being $180,000. Now, according to Tesla, a fully electric Semi would be considerably less to operate per mile, and with Tesla, maintaining cost is significantly lowered, and that could save truck owners from spending much more aside from the initial cost of purchasing these cars. Also, it could be a viable investment that would save them tons in maintenance costs in the future. And if Tesla could ever incorporate autonomy into the semi-truck, it could be bypassing the human cost for its EVs. This would be the point where truck owners won't need human drivers for these cars. Think how big this could be for the truck industry. One other reason why the Semi is going to be huge is the level of safety. For Tesla, safety is key, and that's why the Semi has a big market advantage in that respect. Tesla's Semi has an electric motor drivetrain, which is computer controlled and can respond rapidly, and offers advantages in traction control and stability control to make the truck safer for everyone on the road. The truck software control system can also stop it from jackknifing. And now the semi-truck can significantly take advantage of its unique electric drivetrain. The truck can sense distribution of weight across wheels and accurately actuate the motors or brakes for them individually to maximize traction control, and automatically correct for things like oversteer in response to weight shifting.
Our next guest saying when it comes to Tesla, he doesn't always agree with Elon Musk, but he made the company what it is. Let's bring in a former Tesla board member, Steve Wesley, to discuss. Steve, always good to have you. You've been positive, and rightly so, for quite some time on the company, on the stock to a certain extent. But I do wonder, after listening to yesterday's call, obviously the competition that has come to the fore, the price cuts, the lack of any real catalyst in 2024, seemingly, where you stand right now.
Well, look, let's give Tesla credit where credit's due. They've just posted not one, but 3 consecutive great years. They grew 71% in 2020. They grew 51% in 2021. Last year, 19%. Those are great numbers. The challenge is going to be 2024 because they're in between new product offerings. The Model 3, Model Y, phenomenal successes. Model Y today, the largest selling vehicle in the world, gas or electric, stunning. But what about 2024? What they really need to catch up growth-wise with the BYD that grew proportionally 70% last year, delivered 1.6 million vehicles to Tesla's 1.8. They're going to pass Tesla this year for sure. Tesla desperately needs to get that $25,000 model into market by late next year. So for this year, you know, they've got 3 shots on goal here that they're telling analysts. You know, the first is the $25,000 model, but how soon can you get that out? The second is they're clearly a leader in autonomous driving robo-taxis. I think that's at least 3 to 5 years out. The interesting play that few people talk about is the Tesla Energy division did $6 billion this year. It's growing at 54% a year. They're working on being essentially the world's largest utility. That's an interesting play. Those are numbers most auto companies would die for. But 2024 is going to be a tough year. Tesla's going to have to execute on everything they do, from opening the plant in Mexico to getting the plant in India built to selling some more Cybertruck. It's going to be an interesting battle, and the Chinese are coming.
Yeah, the Chinese are coming. BYD has an automobile out there that is a real competitor, not just in the Chinese market, of course, but in Europe as well. Probably never going to be here. So I wonder, are they up to it? Do you think that, again, that timetable, Musk has typically been optimistic when it comes to the timing of things, and sometimes wrong. Do you think they can get there in terms of that model you're talking about to make them competitive as soon as the end of next year?
I think they'll get initial sales out by then, but they need to do better. Here's the big picture most investors don't fully understand. We're living in an international world. Tesla dominates the U.S., 51% market share, more than everybody else combined. But we're now the second largest market in the world after China. China sold 8 million EVs last year. All of Europe together did about 2.6 to 3 million. U.S. and Canada did 1.6 million. So where do you want to be number one? China. So U.S. dominating, Tesla dominating in U.S., dominating, frankly, in Europe. But they've got to get out to that rest of the world, because that is where the money's being made. But there's one other issue investors need to look at, and that is, for the last 10 years, when it comes to EVs, it's all been about range and price. Now it's moving over to being about tariffs and privacy. Because as you point out, will Tesla and will BYD come to the U.S.? They're absolutely coming to the U.S. They're already selling buses here successfully. They've started selling in Europe. But consumers are increasingly going to ask the question,
if Tesla is going to be worth $1 trillion at any point in its lifetime, then a major part of this valuation is going to come from EVs, whether cars or trucks, and this means that Tesla should be able to make significant profits from its cars. There are several reasons why Tesla's profit per delivery should stay at $10,000 by 2030, and this could be even more if Tesla meets its target of producing 20 million cars by that year. Tesla also plans to produce millions of these robots, selling them anywhere from less than $20,000 each. And according to Musk, if Tesla can scale up production of Optimus and also increase the rollout of its FSD software, then it could be massive for revenue in the future. Aside from the FSD and Optimus technologies, Tesla could also earn significant profits from robotaxi. Tesla's investor and bull Lee Kogwan recently once said that Tesla could produce its own small robotaxi with 200% profits per year by selling the vehicle at $100,000 per FSD to private owners and collecting up to 20 to 40% fees. Think about that. Tesla's future valuation hinges much on EV demand, and that itself is looking promising as recent government policies are starting to be in favor of electric vehicles. But the United States and Europe intend to ban the sale of cars that run on petrol and diesel by 2035, which will also spark a transition to EVs. Also, gas prices will likely continue to rise in the years to come, while owning an EV will also become cheaper and more convenient than ever. And also there's energy. Tesla's energy business is a gold mine yet to be tapped, and this business is one that's been thriving over the years and is growing at a very fast pace.
Our next guest says bifurcation in the mega cap trade is set to continue. Let's bring in Anka Crawford, Executive Vice President and Portfolio Manager at Alger, with me here at Post 9. It's nice to see you again. This bifurcation you're talking about, it's bye-bye Mag 7, hello Mag 4.
Yes, hello Mag 4. And, there's some that occasionally become unmagnificent, and that's what we're kind of seeing right now with Apple, Google, and Tesla.
I mean, send in Apple, Amazon. Well, Amazon's in. Apple, Google, and Tesla, they're go to the curb?
Well, just for now.
Apple?
Yeah, so here's the thing with Apple. Apple has great prospects, but they just have to deliver. And oftentimes, Apple is a late bloomer. So they weren't necessarily the first ones to a large screen phone. They weren't the first ones to think about like a phone without a keyboard. So it's okay for Apple to be a kind of a fast follower, and I think that's what they will be for the consumer. It's just not now. I would say Vision Pro is okay. It's not fantastic.
Jim Cramer's argument hinges on Tesla being more than just a car company. Rather, he sees it as a technology powerhouse, disrupting not just the automobile industry, but also clean energy sectors as well as solar panels and energy storage solutions. Cramer believes that if Tesla continues to execute on this ambitious plan, with things like scaling up production and achieving autonomous driving, then a $1 trillion valuation could be back on the menu. Here's the thing though, not everyone agrees with Cramer's rosy outlook, with many pointing to the volatile nature of Tesla stock, as well as the intense competition it faces from established car makers and new EV players. Some even argue that reaching $1 trillion again would require sustained growth at an almost unbelievable pace. And even then, external factors like overall market sentiment could play a major role. So what's the verdict? Is this $1 trillion Tesla a realistic possibility? The truth is, it's impossible to say. Tesla remains a company with immense potential. It's a company that pushes boundaries, innovates relentlessly, and captures the imagination like few others. So whether or not it does reach that valuation again is a question that only time can tell, but one thing's for sure, the ride will sure be exciting. But what do you think? Can Tesla ever get back to this height? Let us know down below, and if you want to know more about what Tesla's been up to over the last few days, go ahead and click on this next video on your screen. See you there!